Amazing.
Welcome to the Expert Speaker Summit. We're here with our Sharmeen Abeysinghe, alignment expert, movement expert, certified in the Aldoa method, and so many other practical and woo-woo healing and movement modalities. Welcome, Sharmeen.
Thank you so much for having me, Majeed.
Tell us, how did you become the expert of healing movement that you are now?
Like so many practitioners, it started with my own healing journey. And I went from being a certified couch potato to a movement coach. So what happened for me was after I had my second child, as many moms do, I wanted to lose the weight. So I started for the first time in my life working out. And I ended up at a studio that was very much focused on alignment and fascia, the body's connective tissue. So it's very, very interesting introduction. None of the machines, none of the weights, that kind of stuff, just body movements and exploratory movements as well. One day when I was in an Aldoa class, I started to cry. I was in a posture, my hands were up, and I started to cry, and I didn't understand what was going on. Didn't know why I was crying. So I kept going to class and I kept doing the Aldoa method. And every once in a while, I would have these releases of tears. And sometimes I would get these little flashbacks of different events in my life that were unresolved or pretty traumatic for me as a child. One day, I'm in an Aldoa class. I kept going because it's very interesting and it's great for your body, right? And your posture. So I kept going because I felt really good. I had this big release. I was crying. I had to leave the class and go into the separate room. And I was hyperventilating and I was shaking. My whole body, I thought I was going to die. I didn't have any clue what was happening. Luckily, my best friend was in the class and she came and she put blankets and put her whole body weight on me. And that took about 3 or 4 days. So that was a Sunday. And I felt like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh with like a big cloud over my head for the 3 days. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? What is happening? I felt I was going to die. I woke up Wednesday morning and my feet didn't touch the ground. And I had this huge smile on my face and I felt 10 pounds lighter. No explanation, no idea what had happened. Nothing changed, right? I didn't know. So I started researching what happened to me and why am I so happy? Actually, that Wednesday morning, I remember by noon, I was holding my cheeks and I was like, my cheeks hurt from smiling. I don't know why I'm so happy, but I'm so happy. Which of course got me interested, and I started researching about trauma and how we hold all of our experiences, all of our emotions, just like we have a memory bank in our brain, we have a memory bank in our bodies as well. And the more I researched about the power of movement to help us to integrate these experiences so they no longer hold us back, the more I realized I need to share this with the world.
Super cool. So Aldoa, spelled E-L-D-O-A.
Yep.
And it sounds like you experienced something in this Aldoa class that caused you to cry. Your friend put a blanket on you and put her weight on you. And then you felt this sadness for some days and then woke up in a sort of a euphoric state. So is it fair to say that your body was releasing that trauma?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I had experienced is I was holding a lot of trauma in my spine, particularly in that segment that we were working in class. And when we started to release that, when we started to create space there, those emotions and all of that trauma was like, we're free. We don't have to stay here anymore. So it was almost like if I was hunched over, and I used to walk around like this. I was starting to stand up and sit up with better posture, more confident posture. And that really changed the way my brain worked. And I suddenly had confidence. But yeah, the trauma release was a big piece of it.
Amazing. Certified couch potato. I didn't realize that was an official certification, but I should apply for my certification there as well.
Self-certified.
Yes. Okay, so talk to me about train to learn. And we were talking about train to learn and emotional resilience from the body. So tell me about that.
So now what I do is I use movement activities and movement. Sometimes it's mat work like Pilates or Eldoa, and other times it's more playful movement like playing with a ball or dancing to music or other things. And what we're doing is in our bodies, in our nervous systems, we have our stimulus and our response. When we're young, are these responses and these stimulus response synapses in the brain become really, really strong. So if you're constantly feeling a flutter in your tummy and you're constantly feeling that little bit of anxiety and it's being reinforced with negativity or being yelled at and like something going wrong, so that anxiety, that feeling, sweaty palms, racing heart rate, uh, butterflies in your stomach, represents and really does attach to it. This is anxiety, be in danger, be on the lookout, be alert. Now, as we grow up and we start having our own autonomy and we're no longer dependent on other people, that sensation, even if we're excited, like when you're excited, you still have sweaty palms, increased heart rate, butterflies in your stomach, but your brain and your body will automatically go to anxiety and high alert. So you kind of lose out on the ability to really be excited about things and not be anxious. And so through play and movement, we make friends with this activation. We make friends with feeling that butterflies in my stomach. But because we're doing it in a playful movement way, we break that loop. We break that stimulus response being anxiety. And it's like stimulus, hey, this could actually be fun. This could be excitement.
Mhm.
Mm.
Cool. All right. Um, so can you share, for example, like some example of a movement that you would recommend for people, or we were talking about the pause before you respond idea. Can you share about a movement you can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. We can play a game together, actually.
Okay.
So we don't have to stand up or anything, but just take your hands and put your palms on your lap with your fingers out wide and just notice any thoughts in your head right now. You know, probably thinking of the next question, or if you're listening, you might be thinking about what you're having for dinner, where is she going with this, all kinds of things. And I'd like you to lift your left pinky and the ring finger on your right hand, and then put that down. And lift your ring finger on your left hand and your pointer finger on your right hand, and put that down. Lift the thumb on the left hand and the middle finger on the right hand, and put that down. Lift the pointer finger on the left hand, the ring finger on the right hand, the pinky finger on the left hand, and the thumb on the right hand, and put that down. Lift the ring finger on the right hand, the middle finger on the left hand, the thumb on the left hand, and the thumb on the right hand, and put that down. And lift the middle finger on the left hand, the pointer on the right, the pinky on the right, and the ring on the left, and put that down. Now I'm willing to bet as you come back into the room here and now that your brain was unable to think about the future,
Mm.
think about anxiety, think about dinner or the next question, and that you may actually notice a grounding feeling in your body where it's like, oh, I'm here, I'm sitting in this chair now. Does that resonate?
I just wish we had a second camera on my fingers because I was doing it all well, and I feel like I should get a gold star. I'm proud of myself, but you're totally right. I was super present, not thinking about all the other things.
So this is how we retrain, but also interrupt loops in the brain where anxiety loops or if depression leaps.
Okay, so like I'm freaking out about my tax bill and my credit card bill, and I'm feeling that anxiety. And so move some fingers around for what, like a minute or 30 seconds, and then I'm present and
Yeah,
grounded.
really, it depends on how far you're at. So my work actually is the ability to meet you where you're at. So if you're really, really high strung and you're really out there, I probably wouldn't say, sit down, put your fingers, and let's do this activity. I would probably say, okay, let's find another activity. Maybe I'll have you throw a ball with your right hand and catch it with your left, and
No, that's
do that
interesting
for a
because
moment.
I was expecting things like fold yourself up like a pretzel and stick your head where you didn't think you could stick it and that kind of stuff. But so it's this telling me this movement work that you're doing is really like mindfulness and focus,
Yeah,
not
mindfulness.
necessarily moving your body in ways that are really challenging.
Exactly. It can be. It can be like with the Eldoa method, and I do use that with clients. It can be challenging, and you can be putting into positions that you're not necessarily used to, with a little bit of rotations here and there. But with the mindful movement, with the coaching and the emotional resilience coaching, you're exactly right. It's finding a mindful movement that is going to meet you where you're at and bring you to where you want to be.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Talk to me about family DNA and experiences.
Family DNA. Oh my goodness. So I took a course with Sick Kids, the infant and early childhood mental health certificate. And this is really interesting that they did a study that, let's say Johnny is an infant and Johnny is placed in a room with his mom. Mom leaves and they see Johnny's response. Mom comes back and they notice Johnny's response. How long did it take to recover? How did they recover, whether it was touch or words or sight, different ways. Now, Johnny grows up and has a child, and their child has a child. So now Johnny's grandson is in the study. They can predict to like a 90% accuracy how Johnny's grandson or grandchild will respond to mom leaving and coming back in the room.
Wow.
Mhm. So when we do this work to retrain the DNA, retrain our nervous system, retrain the responses that we are stimulus response. When we retrain our bodies to have a different response, we're not only retraining our bodies, but we're retraining our nervous system and our lineage.
I would love if you have any advice on that particular scenario. Because my little boy, Charlie, 5 years
Mhm,
old, he freaks out when he can't see me.
mhm.
And me, as a grown ass man, I've got abandonment issues that I've recently discovered. Where even if someone just cancels plans on me, I like go into like a freak out mode.
Like a
And
spiral.
yeah, and I just assume that's the same kind of thing. What do you know about this? When mommy leaves the room, the nervous system lights up on fire, and how do I um, fix that? Got any ideas?
Yeah, so I was an early childhood educator for 19 years before I
Yeah.
became a movement coach. So this is my wheelhouse. With your son, one thing that you can begin to do is play peekaboo games. Play games where you're away, play hide and seek, play those kinds of games where you're away, it's in a fun environment, then you come back. And that experience will train the brain and the body to understand, I can't see daddy, but daddy will come back,
Mm.
right? For and those kinds of games, just repeat, as well as have something that smells like you. So I often tell parents to sleep in something, whether it's a scarf or an extra t-shirt, doesn't matter. Sleep with something, either under your pajamas or under your pillow, overnight for a couple of days. Then give that piece of clothing or material to your child.
Mm.
Your child will be able to smell you and and feel you and your energy, because is very strongly related to our memory, right? So they'll be able to feel and have that connection with you because they'll be able to smell
Whoa, that's a cool idea.
you.
I don't know if my children will appreciate smelling me. I'm a smelly Persian.
Well,
Uh, all right, moving right along to our next question here. Let's see. So tell me about aligned parenting. I know you have a Facebook group. Tell us about it.
yeah, so I started the Facebook group Aligned Parenting to support families who, like yourself, maybe just have discovered that they themselves have abandonment issues, and how to sort of re- renegotiate that so that you're not passing that on to your children. So, our habits, like I said, our parenting habits, we often do what was done to us. And even if we are a seasoned early childhood educator, we may still yell at our kids because we got yelled at. Speaking from experience. So, to retrain that and to become really intentional, Aligned Parenting Facebook group is really about a trauma informed um, just trauma informed experiences and trauma informed advice and support to help parents and families with their challenges of parenting, because it's
Hmm.
hard.
So to join that group, they would, if someone's watching, listening, they would go to Facebook and search for aligned parenting.
Yeah, exactly. Or facebook.com/groups/my aligned parenting.
My aligned parenting. Okie
Mhm.
dokie. Um, Tell me about the masterclass. Move from languishing to laughter.
Move from languishing to laughter is a masterclass that's going to is going to return talk about behavior as communication, not only children's behavior, but our own and other people's behavior, and awareness of our own triggers and how we can deal with the triggers. And it's a live masterclass. So anybody who has any questions or who wants to pick my brain, welcome to do that as well. So there'll be lots of time for that.
Cool. And
And
can you
that's going to,
go ahead?
sorry, that's going to be on the 29th of June.
Great. And if someone happens to be watching this after the 29th of June, would they be able to see the recording?
Absolutely. If you contact me at my website, www.myalignedlife.ca/contact, and just fill out that contact form, I'm happy to send that masterclass, the recording of the masterclass. Mhm.
Awesome. .ca for Canada. Hello, Canada.
Yes.
All right. Aligned parenting. Would you like to share with us how it has changed your parenting?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I alluded to before, I grew up in, my parents were immigrants to Canada. And so we grew up with a little bit of the yelling. I got spanked a little bit, but there was a lot of yelling, a lot of lectures, a lot of reactive behavior. And even though I'm an early childhood educator, I could do that work at work, but at home, for some reason, I would just end up yelling, even though my brain was like, shut up, what are you doing? This is not okay. The words would just, there was no filter, there was no pause. Once I started working with movement and embodiment and really changing my own response and becoming aware of where are my levels? Like instead of 0 to anger, what happens before anger? There's irritation, there's frustration. What does that feel like in my body? And so rather than saying to my kids, do this, do this, do this, do this, yeah, do it, I told you 100 times, I started saying, do this, do this. I'm starting to get really fast in my body and I'm starting to feel really hot. My hands are starting to sweat. I really need you to do this right now.
Ooh.
So I'm letting them know that my body is reaching that point, that boiling point that nobody wants.
Oh, I love how you're naming your own physical sensations.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's much better than I'm getting really angry,
Hmm.
and it's better than you're being a bad kid,
Oh,
which
100%.
I never use that language, but I I do think I would use the language like, hey, I'm getting really upset. I really need you to help. But I really love naming your own physical sensations because that brings some mindfulness and awareness to your own physical sensations. I like that.
Yeah. To yourself, but also to your kids, right? Because often we don't get taught that emotions actually have sensations that go with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been doing this therapy called PMA, progressive mental alignment, and my therapist
Okay.
says to me, she says, "Teach me how to feel what your body's feeling." Because I would say like I'm feeling anxiety,
Mhm.
and she goes, "Teach me what that feels like." And I go, "Okay, well, it's like there's an anvil on my chest and I can't breathe, and it's like there's something in my stomach that makes me feel sick and my heart rate." And I'm like, I'm trying to communicate it, and just the need to express it and articulate it is increasing my awareness of it. And then when I feel it coming up later, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing I was talking about. That's this feeling. So this awareness of
Yes,
feelings.
exactly. And once you have that awareness of feelings, you create that pause between stimulus and reaction. And now
Mm.
you have stimulus, pause, response, right? You get to have an intentional response.
It's the pause where you don't do the thing you're going to regret. That's it.
It's the
Cool.
pause. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Tell me about how this work, this movement therapy that you do. How does it compare to talk therapy? Is it a replacement? What's
Definitely not a replacement, but
uh-huh.
in a conjunction with.
Mm.
So mind and body, spirit, whatever you want to call it, we are all, it's all interconnected. We know this, but somehow we've started to specialize in our society of like, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to do emotions in the brain and I'm going to do physical body work. We can't actually function that way. So you can talk till you're blue in the face. And I was in therapy, and that's why I had that voice that said, stop yelling at your kids, but I still couldn't stop.
Mm.
What movement does is help you integrate your talk therapy. So if you're doing a mindset program or you're doing any type of talk therapy and you're not seeing progression and results, it's likely because from the neck down, your body doesn't believe a thing that is going on. You can say, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And if
Mm.
your body is scanning the environment and saying, no, you're not, whether external or internal environment doesn't feel safe, nothing's going to change. So it's a
Mhm.
conjunction with, and often in my sessions, some things can come up from the body. So, like I had the release in the Aldoa, things can come up in the body. And that's why it's really important to have that talk therapy as well, so that you have a container to go to and talk about what came up in the session.
Cool.
So it
Yeah.
kind of goes both ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. We are coming up to an end. I've got a couple more questions for you. So, why ADD in stress reduction?
Oh,
Uh,
why add?
yeah, sorry. Why add in stress reduction with your daily self-care?
Well, we live in a society where we are chronically stressed, and our human organism, our bodies are designed to have stress as a survival response. The saber-tooth tiger is coming to get you. You need a dump of cortisol. You need to have extra oxygen for your muscles so that you can run away, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now we get stressed, and this is real or perceived stress. We feel stress, and we're getting that dump from our brain of cortisol and stress hormones to help us to run away and be safe. Except we're stuck behind a desk and we're still not running away and not using that. And it's a dump, it's not like a trickle, it's a dump of
Mm.
hormones. We're not using it. So it just sits in the body. And then it's like there, and then tomorrow you have another dump of hormones and stress, and it sits in the body, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, my neck hurts, oh, my back hurts, oh, my thigh hurts, and you just start to get all these ailments. But that is the stress and the hormones in your bodies that are like, I need to be out of here, you're not using me. So we're chronically stressed, and adding in a stress reduction support really allows you to feel the stress, know why it's there, and either use it for the reason that it's there or expunge it out of your body so that you stay in alignment and are able to stay present and intentional in your life.
Mm. Awesome. Thank you. What a good message for these days where stress can be, coming from the news, coming from all sorts of things.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And there's a little thing you mentioned something called the river of life. Can you share with me what that is?
Yes. So I talk a lot about, coming down from anxiety. But it's not about, staying in one, I'm a calm person. I'm always going to be calm. That's not
Mm,
my intention is to support people with. It's actually the ability to, if you think about life being a river, where the top bank here would be anxiety. Anything above here is anxiety and chaos. And
mhm,
then anything from the bottom down on this bank is depression, stuckness, feeling stiff, all of those things that keep you stuck in a state.
mhm,
What we do is we want to be able to swim in this river and float along the river, feel the highs, feel the excitement, feel the great stuff, feel the almost anxiety, but be able to come back and swim and then have, experience the lows, feel the losses, feel the pain, feel the adversity, but then be able to come back and swim. So it's kind of like you just being having the tools to stay within this river where you're not going to be breaking the bank on the anxiety side or on the depression side and get stuck in either side. Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, so anxiety here, depression here, and somehow stay flowing in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. But still be able to experience the highs and lows of
Yeah,
life and the full range of motion. It's not just about being happy or
yeah,
calm.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
Sharmeen, you are a wealth of wisdom, and I
Thank you.
appreciate the work that you're doing, healing people with movement and all of the magic that you do. For people who are interested in learning more about you and what you have to offer, what's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Over to my website, www.myalignedlife.ca. And you can also see me on Instagram at my_aligned_life. Those are the two
Amazing.
best ways to get a hold of me.
My_aligned_life. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharmeen Abeysinghe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Majid. It was a pleasure talking to you today.